Have you ever felt completely lost? Like you're wandering through life without a map, a compass, or even a sense of who you truly are? Maybe you wake up every morning, go through the motions, and yet at night, when the world is quiet, silent, emptiness sits beside you, whispering that something is missing. This isn't just fatigue or stress. It's what Carl Jung called the inner void. It's a space inside every human being, a silent chasm that waits for us to look, to reflect, and to face a dot in our fast-paced world. It's easy to ignore this. Emptiness. Social media tells us to be happy, productive, perfect. Work tells us to achieve, earn, climb. And society whispers that we should fit into roles that may not belong to us. But deep inside, your soul knows when you are living someone else's life. That inner voice, subtle and persistent, nudges you toward something real, something that can't be found in titles, money, or approval. Jung believed that feeling lost is not a flaw, it is a signal. It is an invitation to explore the hidden corners of your mind, to meet the parts of yourself you've been avoiding. Every feeling of emptiness, every night spent staring at the ceiling, every anxious thought is a chance to discover the self you've been hiding from. The void is not your enemy. It is a guide, pointing you toward your true potential. Imagine a person standing in a dark forest. They cannot see the path, and the night is cold and silent. Every step feels uncertain. Every shadow seems threatening. But if they stop running, breathe, and listen carefully, they might notice a faint glimmer, a firefly, a small light guiding them forward. That is what Jung teaches us about the inner void. When we stop resisting, when we stop pretending, the darkness itself becomes a teacher. You are not alone in feeling lost. Every great thinker, every seeker, every person who has ever felt the weight of uncertainty has stood where you stand today. And just as they discovered a path through the darkness, you too can begin your journey, not toward someone else's life, but toward your own. The first step is to recognize the void, to face it, and to listen. Only then can the journey inward begin, and only then can you truly find yourself. Feeling lost is uncomfortable. It makes you question your choices, your worth, your purpose. Jung understood this struggle better than most. He said that the inner void is not emptiness for emptiness' sake. It is a space meant to be filled, not with distractions, but with understanding, reflection, and authenticity. It is the silent mirror of your soul, showing you the parts of yourself you may have buried under expectations, fear, or routine. Many people try to escape this feeling. They fill their lives with noise work, social media, relationships, shopping, endless scrolling. But these are temporary masks. The void does not disappear. It waits, persistent and patient, like the tide that keeps returning to the shore. And the longer you ignore it, the louder it becomes. Jung believed that the key to facing the inner void lies in self-awareness. This is not about reading self-help books or following motivational quotes. It is about honest observation of your inner world. Ask yourself, who am I when no one is watching? What do I value when I strip away what society tells me is important? What fears, desires, or regrets have I ignored? These questions are uncomfortable, yes, but they are necessary. The void only becomes a guide when you dare to confront it. To begin this journey, start small. Pause for a few minutes every day and allow yourself to be present with your thoughts. Write them down. Observe patterns in your feelings. Notice what triggers emptiness and what moments bring you genuine joy. This process is not instant. It requires patience, courage, and honesty. But gradually, the inner void transforms from a space of fear into a space of insight. It begins to illuminate the paths that truly resonate with your soul. Another essential aspect Jung emphasized is embracing your shadow, the parts of yourself you deny or reject. The shadow holds fear, pain, and traits society may label as wrong, but it also contains untapped strengths, creativity, and authenticity. By acknowledging and integrating these hidden aspects, you no longer feel fragmented. The void is no longer an enemy. It becomes a reflection of your whole self, guiding you toward wholeness. Picture it like standing at the edge of a vast desert. The sun is harsh, the horizon endless, and the sand stretches in every direction. At first, it feels overwhelming. But with each careful step, you notice signs, a faint trail, a distant tree, a glimmer of water. The desert does not disappear, but you learn to navigate it. The void is your desert, and your journey inward is learning to traverse it with awareness and courage. Remember, Jung did not promise comfort. He offered transformation. Feeling lost is not a weakness. It is a signal that you are alive, aware, and ready to evolve. The void, when faced with courage, becomes a teacher, a mentor, and a guide. It strips away illusions and forces you to confront the truth of who you are. And in that confrontation, there is freedom, power, and clarity. By beginning to explore the void, you take the first step toward discovering your authentic self. The path is neither quick nor easy, but it is worth it. For in the darkness of the inner void lies the spark of your true potential, a self that is resilient, aware, and deeply alive. Feeling lost is not just an emotional state. It is an invitation to understand yourself deeply, to confront your fears, and to step into a life that is authentically yours. Carl Jung believed that the inner void is not a trap, it is a doorway. But how do we walk through it without getting lost? The answer lies in practical, intentional steps. The first step is self-reflection. Set aside at least 15 minutes every day to sit quietly with your thoughts. Don't distract yourself with your phone or tasks. Close your eyes, breathe, and let your mind wander into the corners you usually avoid. Ask yourself questions like, what am I truly feeling right now? What parts of my life feel empty? What brings me genuine happiness? This is not journaling for the sake of writing. It is about honesty with yourself. Be brutal if needed. The void respects truth, not pretense. Next, embrace your shadow. Jung emphasized that every human has a shadow traits, impulses, and desires we deny because they seem unacceptable. These are often the parts that hold our greatest creativity, strength, and insight. Instead of ignoring these aspects, identify them. Observe the moments when you feel anger, jealousy, or fear. Ask, why does this arise? What is this trying to teach me? By integrating the shadow, you stop running from yourself and begin to reclaim your inner power. Another essential step is finding meaningful solitude. Many fear being alone, confusing solitude with loneliness. But true solitude is a chance to reconnect with your inner self. Go for a walk, sit in nature, or simply breathe in silence. In these moments, the void becomes less frightening and more like a mirror reflecting your essence. You start noticing patterns, desires, and values that were invisible amidst noise and distraction. Visualization and creative exercises also play a powerful role. Imagine the void as a blank canvas. What would you paint? What colors, shapes, or symbols represent your inner truth? Even small creative acts like drawing, writing, poetry, or composing music allow the subconscious mind to express what words alone cannot capture. Jung saw creativity as a bridge between the conscious and unconscious, and it can illuminate paths through uncertainty. Additionally, seek guidance from symbolic insights. Jung often explored dreams, myths, and archetypes as tools for understanding the self. Pay attention to recurring dreams, symbols, or life patterns. They are messages from your deeper psyche. Reflect on these and consider what wisdom they offer. You don't need to interpret them perfectly. Simply noticing and contemplating them creates awareness. Finally, cultivate daily rituals of grounding. Rituals can be simple: morning meditation, mindful eating, evening gratitude, or lighting a candle before reflection. These small actions create stability amidst the uncertainty of the inner void. They anchor you in the present while your mind explores deeper questions, giving both courage and structure to your journey. The journey through the void is gradual. It is not about eliminating discomfort, but learning to move with it. With consistent practice, the void transforms from a space of fear into a space of insight, from emptiness into a reservoir of potential. Each reflection, shadow integration, moment of solitude, creative act, or symbolic observation is a step toward wholeness. By taking these practical steps, you begin to navigate your inner world with intention and courage. The void is no longer a threat, it becomes a guide, a mentor, and a compass pointing toward your true self. And in that truth, there's clarity, purpose, and a profound sense of freedom. The inner void is not just an abstract concept. It manifests in real lives, often in subtle yet powerful ways. Consider the story of Emma, a young professional in her late 20s. On the surface, her life seemed perfect, high-paying job, social circle, and accolades. Yet, she constantly felt a gnawing emptiness, a sense that something fundamental was missing. She tried to fill it with distractions, endless social events, shopping sprees, and binge-watching shows. But nothing worked. It wasn't until she paused, took time for self-reflection, and faced her inner void that she began to uncover her true desires. By journaling her fears, exploring her shadow traits, and seeking moments of solitude in nature, Emma gradually discovered a passion for helping others through creative writing. Her emptiness transformed into purpose, a living testament to Jung's belief that the void is a gateway, not a trap. Then there's the story of Marcus, a middle-aged man who had spent decades chasing societal definitions of success, prestige, wealth, recognition. Yet, at 45, he felt an unshakable dissatisfaction, a silent alarm that his life had drifted from authenticity. In his despair, he studied Jungian psychology and began paying attention to recurring dreams that featured labyrinths and keys. At first, these symbols confused him, but over time, they became a map for introspection. He recognized that the labyrinth symbolized his convoluted life choices, and the key represented the courage to unlock suppressed desires. Marcus gradually left his high-stress corporate job and pursued painting, an interest he had abandoned as a child. The inner void, once a source of anxiety, became the compass guiding him toward his authentic self. Real-life examples like these reveal a common pattern. The void often signals a misalignment between external life and internal truth. Jung'S principles emphasize that ignoring this inner call leads to stagnation, anxiety, and depression, while embracing it catalyzes transformation. He frequently cited myths and archetypes as mirrors to our personal journeys. The hero venturing into unknown territory, the seeker wandering through darkness, or the alchemist transforming base metals into gold, all are metaphors for navigating the void. These symbolic narratives provide both guidance and reassurance. Discomfort is natural, but within it lies opportunity. Even in everyday life, small acts of conscious awareness echo these principles. A teacher noticing a deep dissatisfaction in her routine may explore creative projects that align with her values. A student feeling lost amidst academic pressures might discover a hidden talent in music or storytelling. These are not extraordinary examples, they are microcosms of the Jungian journey. The void presents itself in many forms, but the underlying message is consistent. Turn inward, reflect, and allow the unconscious to speak. Importantly, Jung also warned against the temptation to escape the void prematurely. Many seek quick fixes, addiction, materialism, or toxic relationships to temporarily silence discomfort. Real transformation, however, comes from patience, courage, and self-compassion. By sitting with discomfort, embracing shadow traits, and integrating insights from dreams and daily reflections, the void gradually reveals its purpose. It becomes a teacher rather than a tormentor. Emma's creativity and Marcus's artistic rebirth are examples of this principle in action. Their inner emptiness, once perceived as weakness, became a catalyst for growth and fulfillment. The void does not vanish instantly, nor does it demand perfection. It merely asks for honesty, courage, and consistent effort. In doing so, it rewards us with clarity, purpose, and a sense of self that is resilient, authentic, and deeply satisfying. Understanding the inner void is only the first step. The real transformation happens when we engage with it through daily practices. Carl Jung emphasized that self-knowledge is not theoretical, it is experiential. It is about taking conscious steps every day to face discomfort, reflect on unconscious patterns, and integrate the lessons of the void into real life. One of the most powerful exercises is journaling. Set aside 15 to 30 minutes daily to write without judgment. Begin with simple prompts. What am I feeling right now? What thoughts keep repeating in my mind? Which parts of me do I avoid? Do not censor yourself. The void often speaks in fragments, images, or emotions that seem disconnected. By writing them down, you create a bridge between the unconscious and conscious mind. Over weeks, patterns will emerge. You may notice recurring fears, desires, or even unacknowledged talents. This practice transforms the void from an invisible pressure into a map for self-discovery. Meditation and mindful reflection are equally vital. Jung often highlighted the importance of solitude, not as loneliness, but as an opportunity to meet your inner self. Begin with simple breathing exercises, focusing on the rhythm of inhalation and exhalation. Gradually, shift your attention inward. Observe thoughts and emotions as they arise, without judgment. This practice strengthens your capacity to sit with discomfort, a key skill when navigating the void. Even 5 to 10 minutes daily can create profound clarity over time. Dream analysis is another tool Jung championed. Keep a small notebook by your bed and record your dreams immediately upon waking. Look for recurring symbols, narratives, or emotions. A dream of falling may reveal fear of losing control, while a dream of finding a hidden door might signify unexplored potential. Reflect on these images in relation to your waking life. Ask yourself, what is my unconscious mind trying to show me? How does it relate to my current challenges or desires? Engaging with dreams deepens your understanding of the void, turning confusion into insight. Physical movement can also serve as a powerful ritual. Yoga, martial arts, or even daily walks in nature help integrate the mind and body. The void is not just psychological. It manifests in tension, restlessness, or fatigue. Movement allows emotions trapped in the body to surface safely. When combined with reflection or mindful breathing, it becomes a dialogue with yourself. A way to release inner stagnation while reinforcing your sense of presence. Finally, embrace creative expression. Painting, music, writing, or even cooking can channel the energy of the void into tangible forms. Jung described the process of individuation, the journey toward wholeness, as inherently creative. The void fuels imagination, innovation, and insight. When you allow yourself to create, you transform emptiness into purpose, fear into action, and confusion into clarity. Consistency is key. The void may resist, manifesting as procrastination, doubt, or impatience. Yet, each small ritual compounds. Over time, journaling, meditation, dream reflection, mindful movement, and creative expression together form a holistic approach to navigating the inner void. They do not promise instant transformation, but they steadily illuminate the path towards self-understanding, resilience, and fulfillment. In embracing these practices, you will notice subtle shifts, moments of clarity amidst chaos, flashes of insight in ordinary routines, and a deepening sense of alignment with your true self. The inner void, once a source of fear and uncertainty, gradually becomes a guide, a teacher that challenges you, inspires growth, and ultimately leads to a life rich with authenticity and purpose. Carl Jung introduced the concept of the shadow, the hidden parts of ourselves that we deny, suppress, or ignore. These are not just flaws or mistakes. They are aspects of our personality, emotions, and desires that we fear to acknowledge. The inner void often amplifies the presence of the shadow. It whispers doubts, fuels insecurity, and magnifies anxiety. But shadow work, the conscious exploration and integration of these hidden aspects, turns fear into insight and emptiness, into personal power. The first step in shadow work is acknowledgement. This requires courage because it often means facing parts of yourself that you have long avoided. Begin by identifying recurring negative patterns in your life. Do you sabotage your own success? Do you avoid intimacy because of fear? Do you feel resentment or envy toward others? These emotions are clues pointing to unacknowledged aspects of your psyche. Instead of judging yourself, approach these patterns with curiosity. Ask, why do I feel this way? When did this start? What need or fear is driving it? Next, embrace your fear as a teacher. Fear is not the enemy. It is a signal pointing toward growth. Jung emphasized that the unconscious communicates through symbols, dreams, and emotions. When fear arises, observe it. Name it. Feel it fully without distraction or avoidance. If you fear failure, write down the worst-case scenario and explore it. Often, simply acknowledging the fear diminishes its power. By confronting it directly, you reclaim control over your reactions, turning paralysis into clarity. Active imagination is a powerful technique for shadow work. Sit quietly, close your eyes, and allow your mind to visualize the fear, negative emotion, or hidden desire as a figure, image, or scene. Engage with it as if it were a character in a story. Ask it questions. Listen. What does it want? What message does it carry? This dialogue bridges the gap between the conscious mind and the shadow, transforming fear into guidance and the void into a source of wisdom. Integration is the final transformative step. It is not enough to merely recognize the shadow. It must become part of your conscious life. For example, if you have suppressed ambition because of guilt or fear, allow yourself to pursue goals consciously and ethically. If anger or assertiveness has been denied, channel it constructively in work, relationships, or personal boundaries. The more you integrate, the less the shadow controls your life unconsciously, and the less the inner void drains your energy. Consistency and patience are essential. Shadow work is not a one-time exercise. It is a lifelong practice. Resistance will appear in the form of procrastination, rationalization, or emotional overwhelm. When this happens, return to reflection, journaling, and meditation. Gradually, patterns become clearer, fears lose their grip, and the void transforms from a source of anxiety into a wellspring of self-knowledge. By confronting your shadow, you illuminate the darkness within. The void, once perceived as emptiness or despair, becomes a mirror reflecting your hidden strengths, untapped potential, and true desires. Fear is no longer a barrier but a guide pointing toward growth. Each moment spent in shadow work strengthens resilience, sharpens emotional intelligence, and cultivates a deep, unwavering connection with your authentic self. Ultimately, embracing your shadow allows you to step fully into your own life. You no longer react unconsciously to fears or suppressed desires. Instead, you move with awareness, intention, and courage. The void ceases to be a place of confusion and becomes a crucible in which the raw material of your inner world is refined into clarity, purpose, and power. After exploring the inner void, confronting your fears, and integrating your shadow, the final step in Carl Jung's journey towards self-realization is living fully as your authentic self. True transformation is not just internal, it manifests outwardly in the way you interact with the world, make decisions, and embrace life. When the inner void is faced and understood, It stops being a source of fear and begins to serve as a guide toward your deepest purpose. Integration means that all aspects of yourself, your strengths, weaknesses, fears, and desires are acknowledged and harmonized. You stop fighting against parts of yourself and instead use them consciously. The void that once felt like emptiness now becomes a canvas, allowing you to shape your life intentionally. The anxiety, confusion, and doubt that once dominated your mind now act as signals, pointing to areas where growth and creativity can flourish. Living fully requires courage. It means taking risks, speaking your truth, and pursuing what genuinely matters to you, rather than what society, family, or peers expect. This courage is not reckless. It is informed by self-knowledge. The more you understand your inner world, the fears you've confronted, the patterns you've integrated, the more confident you become in making decisions aligned with your values. Life becomes less about reacting to external pressures and more about creating with intention. One key aspect of this transformation is self-compassion. Jung emphasized that understanding oneself is a lifelong process. Mistakes, setbacks, and moments of doubt are inevitable. Instead of judgment or shame, approach yourself with kindness. Recognize that every challenge faced in the inner void has strengthened your resilience. Every fear confronted has expanded your capacity to act from authenticity. When you forgive and accept yourself, you free your energy to focus on growth, creativity, and meaningful connection. Another dimension of living fully is embracing presence. The void often stems from disconnection, feeling lost in thoughts, regrets, or anxieties. By cultivating mindfulness, you anchor yourself in the present moment. You notice the subtle joys, relationships, and opportunities that life offers. Presence transforms ordinary experiences into moments of learning and fulfillment. Your awareness becomes a lens through which life's richness is magnified, turning small actions into meaningful steps toward your purpose. Transformation also involves contribution. Once you have faced your inner void and integrated your shadow, your life no longer revolves solely around survival or avoidance. You have energy, clarity, and perspective to positively impact others. Sharing your insights, mentoring, creating art, or supporting your community are ways the inner transformation radiates outward. Jung believed that individuation, the full realization of self, is never complete in isolation. It finds its ultimate expression in connection, contribution, and creative engagement with the world. Finally, living fully is about embracing uncertainty with trust. The void taught you that life is unpredictable and fear is part of the journey. Yet, with self-awareness and integration, you develop trust in your ability to navigate challenges. You move forward not with arrogance or blind optimism, but with grounded confidence and adaptability. Every step becomes a conscious choice, rooted in understanding and alignment with your authentic self. By the end of this journey, the inner void is no longer a space of despair, it is a place of potential. You stand transformed, whole, and empowered. The fears that once controlled you are now guides. The shadows once hidden are now integrated strengths, and your life becomes a conscious expression of who you truly are. In this state, you are no longer lost. You have found yourself. You live with clarity, purpose, and courage, embracing every moment with authenticity, resilience, and the deep satisfaction of a life fully realized.